Welcome to Start That Business podcast, where I help Christian moms working a corporate job launch their first coaching or consulting business from scratch without quitting their jobs yet. If that sounds like you're in the right place. My name is Chichi Ukomadu. I am a Jesus follower, an entrepreneur for 13 years, a mom of 3, and a Christian business coach. Now, one of the things that held me from starting both my coaching business and my e-commerce logistics business was, you guessed it, fear. Fear is the number one calling blocker that holds you captive and keeps you from starting the business that God is calling you to start. It keeps so many Christian moms from stepping into the very business God is nudging them to build. Now, it can be a fear of failure. It can be fear of not being good enough. It can be fear of what people will say. It can even be the fear of success. Yes. What if I get big and I lose myself? It might be the fear of capacity, of not being able to add anything more to your already busy life. Whatever the fear is, sometimes it disguises itself as wisdom, but it is really keeping you stuck. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the fear of starting a business and how to overcome it with my special guest, Remi Roy. Now, Remi is going to expose these fears for what they are so you can finally break free and step into the work God has placed on your heart. Remi Roy is the founder of podground.io, a learning and networking platform for podcasters, and she's the host of the Driven Introvert podcast. Remi is such a powerhouse. She is passionate about helping purposeful introverts, dreamers, doers, entrepreneurs bring to life the callings and the ideas God has placed in their hearts. Through her podcast, she shares faith-inspired perspectives on following your dreams, building out your ideas with passion, and living a life that truly matters. Let me just say, you guys are definitely in for a treat on today's episode. If you're excited like I am, tune out the traffic and road noise and let's get started. Hey, Remi, welcome to Start That Business podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. So I met Remi. I think you reached out to me on Instagram to feature me in a blog or a publication. And when I read about your podcast, The Driven Introvert, and your story, I was so drawn to it because I'm also an introvert. I know you might find it hard to believe because I have come out of my shell a lot more, but I'm an introvert. I used to be so shy. I never thought that I'll be able to do what I'm doing today, but just reading your story on how you are an introverted entrepreneur, I was drawn to it because it spoke to the core of who I am. So, Remi, you call yourself a driven introvert. Can you share a bit of your story? What was it like starting out as an introverted entrepreneur, and how have you learned to lean into the way God wired you as you serve in business?
This is a good question. I probably wouldn't go all the way back just for the sake of time. But yes, I call myself a driven introvert because that's essentially who I am. When you said that I used to be very shy, that was me. I was that person that I enter a room and I make a beeline straight for the back and don't nobody talk to me because I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't even want you to know that I'm in the room. But as I continue to grow and develop, I realized that there's so many dreams that I had in my heart, so many things that I wanted to achieve and pursue. And I also knew that God had a plan for me. And somehow those two things, I had to figure out how my personality would work together with those dreams and ideas. So I'm this person that doesn't want to be in the spotlight, but the things that I want to do require me to be. It requires me to get up on the inside and show up and be the person that God has made me to be. So I had to ask myself, how do I do this? how do I make this work? And I think that's a place that everyone, whether you're an introvert or not, will get to. The time you decide to stop playing small, you decide to stop hiding behind your real or perceived limitations and decide to lean into what God has said about you, that's the time you really begin to leave. And that's my experience. So I didn't even just start like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't even remember the time I actually called myself an entrepreneur. But I realized that my desire to be creative had pushed me in that direction without even knowing that that was where I was going. And just learning to trust God with the process and learning to understand that I will be uncomfortable in this process. And I just have to lean into it because only good things can come out of really leaning into whatever God really has for you. So that's my story.
Wow, that is so good, guys. I'm trying to hold my calm because I feel like I just met my soul sister right here. I'm like, oh, especially when you said that when you walk into a room, you don't want to be seen, you don't want to be heard, you just want to be invincible. That is me. I walk in and I don't want any spotlight, but I notice the struggle, the dilemma between my personality and what God is calling me to do. I realized, just like you, that my calling requires me to be in the spotlight.
It does.
So it was the struggle, but after struggling, I'm like, okay, God, there has to be a way for this to work together. And that comes from a place of just surrendering and say, okay, God, I am not going to fight it. If you created me with this personality and you're calling me to be in business, you will give me the grace, you will give me the wisdom, you will show me how these two things can work together because they can work together. So I am so excited just hearing you share that because that is me. That is me. I don't like to be seen, but I've come to that place of surrender. Maybe you're listening and you're an introvert. That's the personality. And you too need to come to that place of surrender. So what was it like for you coming to that place of surrender? When did that happen for you? Because once you get there, it's like you can breathe again. You're no longer fighting. You're no longer fighting.
So much.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I think for me, I cannot point to one moment. It's just been a gradual process. It was a gradual process of saying yes when I would rather say no. Time after time, one little project, so to speak, quote unquote project after the other, one step after the other. When God prompts me to publish a book and I'm like, okay, I need to do this work of putting it together. And then I feel in my heart that I want to put myself out there a little more, let people know about this work that I've created. My regular self would have just published it and just send the link out to people and like, hey, that's it. But I had to put myself out there. And I remember one of the times when I thought, okay, I want to do a book launch. And everything in me said, nah, we're not doing that. We are absolutely not doing that. If you do a book launch now, everybody's going to be there because of you. And you're going to stand there and talk about the book and people are going to watch you and look at you. Like you're going to make a mistake. You're going to say something wrong. You're going to sleep while you're walking on stage, whatever. Like all the worst case scenarios will come up in your head. But I kept telling myself, no, we have to do this. I have to do this, right? I'm going to figure it out. I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm going to figure it out. And I always remember this scripture that God said to Joshua. He says, be strong and very courageous. I have it on my computer.
Wow.
Because I need it every single day. Be strong and very courageous. He hasn't called you to be. What does being courageous mean? You feel the fear. We know this. You feel the fear, but then you do it anyway. You step out despite that fear. So I had to tell myself, be strong and very courageous. If you have to mutter it under your breath until you get to that stage and talk, if you have to rehearse what you're going to say, if you have to practice. When I was doing my master's program, I did my master's program in UCD here in Dallas. And I remember we had to do a lot of presentations. It was a creative program. So anytime you created something or whatever, you had to talk about it. You had to explain your thought process and all of that. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, do I want to do this? How am I going to? I'm like, if you don't do this, you fail. So you have to do it. And then, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to practice. And that's one thing that God taught me. Like, forget all the things in your head, all the questions, all the wonderings, forget that. Just focus on the thing that you have to do in that moment? Do you need to learn something? Do you need to understand how a process works so that you can explain it to somebody? Focus on that process, not on how you're going to look or how it's going to sound or who is going to be in the room. Forget about all of that. So I learned to practice that with every single thing that I'm doing. And I realized the more I did it, when I come out of that experience, I'm like, okay, just like you were saying, I didn't die. I can figure this out. I can do the next one. And that's how you build confidence. There is no magic formula to building confidence except do the thing. Just double down and do the thing. And the next time it's going to be easier. And of course, that's scripture. Be strong and very courageous. You keep it in mind.
This is so good. So good. There are a couple of things you said here. I was like, okay, Chi, hold it together. Don't scream on the podcast. But this is so good. You said it was a gradual process of just saying yes. That is so powerful. That is so powerful. I know I've had several moments like you where I just said, okay, Chi, focus on the thing that you need to do right now. Don't focus on how you look, who is in the room, just like you said. And you are feeling the fear and you're doing it anyway. And when you said that, I almost screamed. I'm like, yes, you just need to do the thing. You just need to do the thing. So there are many women who wrestle with fear before starting a business. So whether it's the fear of failure, fear of not being qualified, or even fear of what other people might think, that one just holds a lot of people. So which of these fears did you face most strongly when you started? And how did you push through them? I know you said it was a gradual process of saying yes, but which of this fear really held you captive?
I would say it was the fear of failure, because I'm wired in a way that I want to be excellent at everything I do. Like I will stay up all night if I have to make sure that something is perfect. But you cannot have that perfectionist mentality with entrepreneurship. Like you just can't. It's going to become your undoing because there are a lot of factors that you cannot control. There are a lot of uncertainties that are just germane to the process of doing something new, something you've never done before, that you have to be comfortable with. And it's that sense of being comfortable with the uncomfortable, I think, separates the people who actually go long haul in business to people who give up easily when, after the first thing doesn't pan out the way that you expect it to. So in my head, I think before we even get to the point, for me, I never had the question of whether entrepreneurship was for me. But I think it is very important, whoever it is that's out there listening to this and think, I want to start a business. I think it's a good first step to think, is it for me? And what I mean by that is, am I wired for this? Am I willing to do what it takes? Because it's a thing that would demand a lot of diligence, a lot of dedication. Like you have to be the kind of person that follows through. If you haven't been a disciplined person in different areas of your life and you want to start a business, I would say maybe you should take some time and really lean into learning like the basic principles. Being disciplined is such a huge one. I don't think anyone can really succeed in business for the long haul if you're not disciplined, if you're not willing to give it what it takes.
Yeah, right.
But if you're able to go through that huddle, like, okay, you've decided you're ready for this, you know what you're getting yourself into. Maybe not the whole thing, but at least you have an idea that this is going to be a challenge. But challenges are exciting. Right. Transitions are exciting when you're going from known to unknown, because that's essentially what entrepreneurship is. Nobody has a blueprint they're going to hand you like, okay, this is it. And this is what's going to happen in year 1. And year 2, this is what's going to happen. And this is what you're going to get out of it. Nobody can tell you that. You have to dive deep into it and you kind of like follow through. But for me, it was the fear of failure. The fact that I will fall flat on my face and somehow I thought people are going to be watching me and thinking, oh, there she goes. She thought she could do it. What did she think she was doing? Who does she think she is? Or the fact that I'm not going to be able to figure it out. I'm going to put in all of my effort. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to nothing. I'll get nothing out of this at the end of the day. But guess what? That has happened to me so many times in entrepreneurship, but I did not die and I kept moving. And I think that's just the price for succeeding sort of in that way. Like you have to go through things where you fall flat on your face and then you get back up again. There's no way to know if you're actually going to be good at something except you try. And you're going to start by being bad at it. So I had to be bad at entrepreneurship. And like I said, I wasn't even the kind of person that said, I want to become an entrepreneur. No, I'm just a creative person. I like to try things, right? And I would try this and try that and just give it a shot and see where it goes. So if you are out there, you're thinking, I want to start a business, but I'm afraid. I think it's good to examine what your fears are. Are you afraid that it's for you at all? Are you afraid that you're going to be able to succeed at it because you just haven't been that disciplined in other areas of your life? Take care of that first. But if the fear is being afraid of failure or being afraid of uncertainty, welcome to the club.
Wow, I love that. I love that. When you said welcome to the club, I was like, yeah, there was something you mentioned when you were talking about the fear of failure, and you said that it was rooted in the perfectionism mindset. Because in my previous episode 129, I talked about the 4 growth mindsets you need to have if you're transitioning into entrepreneurship. And one of them was focused on personal growth. I said, your business can only grow as far as you. So when you spoke about discipline, I'm like saying, if you're not disciplined in other areas of your life, you're going to struggle as an entrepreneur. Then you mentioned the perfectionism mindset. If you're going to thrive in this business you're starting, you need to kill the perfectionism mindset. You need to 100%. Kill it. Because like you said, you're failing forward with every time you try, but it's those failures that make you stronger, the failures that give you the data to know what worked, what didn't work, what I need to double down on, what I need to try next time. So I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said, okay, sit down with the fear. What is this fear? Is entrepreneurship for me? And most of the time, if you have that nudge in your spirit, it is for you, but you might be making the excuses. So I like that you also not only shared the fear that held you bound, and you also shared how to overcome it. So a lot of my audience are career moms, and their plates are already full with family, work, and faith. So what advice will you give to a mom who feels God tugging her to start a coaching or consulting business, but she fears that she won't have the capacity to do it well? Can you speak from that fear of not having the capacity and how she can overcome that?
Yeah. So a couple of things. I think for me, I can talk from my own experience. One big thing is getting the buy-in from your family, because a huge part of being a mom, you're managing everyone's schedules, including yours, if they give the kids, your husband, in-laws, if they depend on you or whatever, right? So I think it's important to not try to do it by yourself and let everyone in, even the kids, if they're old enough to understand, and being able to have them work with you. If you do need to take time, maybe you need an afternoon to really double down, focus on, getting some content out there, or getting your website together, or making some calls. Work in tandem with the people in your life. Explain to them what you're doing. If you're somebody like me, you might fall into the trap of trying to, the thing is in your head, you give people minimal information because you're like, I just need to get work. But they need to know. You need to sit down and discuss it as a family. Talk to your husband. Hopefully he understands and gets where you're going with this so that you can work together. If we're trying to butt heads, it's not going to work in a family setting. That's one. So that you have the space. That's one. 2, life is a lot. Schedules will clash. There will be things you need to do. You set the time to do it, but then you have to go take care of a kid. You have to go do this. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. That also comes back to the perfectionist. It's not going to be perfect. Trust me. I'm that kind of person. I have a picture in my head every time I want to do something, and life always tells me, slow down. Just slow your roll. It's going to be fine, but it may not look exactly the way you want it to look. But another thing is, I think there's something to be said for just being in a season of life where things are a lot, and you might have to endure some sleepless nights to make everything work. You just might have. Except you want to wait until the kids are all grown and gone before you do it. But none of us wants to do that.
Right.
We do it right now. So it's going to be a lot. You might have to wake up earlier or go to bed later. If that's what you need to do, then that is what you have to do. Coming back to the idea of discipline. Are you the kind of person, knowing that you do have to get this thing out. You have to get this, whatever project done. Maybe you have to create something for a coaching client, or you have to set up your website or do something. Are you willing to take the time after all the kids are gone to bed to sit down and do the thing? Because there's just a stage of life where there's nothing you can do. It's going to task you. It's going to take a lot from you time-wise.
Right.
Hopefully you're willing to do that, but also working in tandem with your family so that you can make space where space can be made for those things to be done. There is no, I wish there was a blueprint. I wish there was a manual that we could all consult every time. But go to the Bible. That's what we have.
Right.
Ask God for strength. Ask him for wisdom. If he's giving you this idea, if he's giving you this vision, like he will see you through it. And that's one thing that this season of life has taught me is you gotta be on your face. You've got to be on your knees, praying and asking God for that wisdom. Without it, I don't know. How do we expect to survive? As Christian women, know what to do. I'm reading a book right now. I'm actually going through it on my podcast. It's called The Next Right Thing, because there's always a decision you have to make at every point.
Right.
It might be a huge one. It might be a simple one, but there are decisions. How do you make that decision? How do you know you're doing the right thing? How do you know that you're doing the right thing for your business at this time? So all of that is going to require a lot from you. But spend time praying, seeking God's face for grace. Be gentle with the people in your life so that they can be gentle with you when you need the time to really focus on business.
Wow. Thank you so much for saying that. I love the way faith plays such a big role in your work, because if God has called us to do this thing, we're in partnership with him. Okay. So we have to make sure that we are leaning in, asking him. We have to make sure that we are approaching this fear of, whether it's fear of failure, fear of not having the capacity, from what his word said. And I like what you said about the scripture that says, be strong and courageous, and how you have it in front of your computer, because it takes courage to be able to wake up earlier than your family and stay up later, to be able to sacrifice here and there, to stretch yourself capacity wise, to be able to do the things God is calling you to do. So for you, what are some strategies or mindset shifts that have helped you move from being stuck in fear to actually taking consistent action? What has this shift been like mentally?
One of it was, and I've mentioned it, but I'll kind of dig a little deeper into it, is being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yes,
Comfortable with uncertainty. I think it's a big one. Because if I go into something expecting to know the answers, expecting that, oh, I need everything to be clear to me before I move, I'm going to be stuck for a long time. Because no one, like I said, no one is giving you a blueprint. Right. So I have to be comfortable with working with, should I say, minimal information? Like it's just good enough information for me to know, okay, I can take this step. If not, you're going to think yourself into oblivion. You're going to like analyze and never move forward. You don't want to do that.
All right.
So I feel like there's a fine line between just jumping without doing your due diligence and also waiting forever to have all of the information. So that's one mindset shift I needed to accept that, Remi, you're not going to understand 100% how this is going to work out, but do your due diligence, right? Do the research, know what you're targeting, know who you're speaking to, know how to speak to them. For instance, if you're trying to create like a coaching business or consulting business, a huge part of that is your messaging. Who are you talking to? And are you using the right words that will make them hear that and think, oh, that's for, if you're not doing that groundwork, if you're not doing that due diligence, you will struggle. You will struggle if you don't know who you're talking to. So figuring out all of the things that you can figure out, what is within your control, right? That you can handle, that you can figure out, that you can place down and know, okay, this is where I'm working from. But after that, and you've done all that you can, it's time to move. You're not going to have all the information. You just have to move. And I think that's one big mindset shift. Another thing is just, like I said, I think it's sometimes we want to go from zero to hero. Try not to do that. I've never done anything around this before. And now I'm going to build this huge thing that is going to take me forever to do. No, start small. If you have to start with coaching one-on-one before you do a big mastermind thing, make yourself available to coach people for free. Make yourself available to do some little thing and then test that and see, okay, how does this feel? what felt, what didn't feel, what can I do better next time? Okay, if I was doing this for 10 people now, how would I structure it?
Right.
Small steps, so to speak, because one, the more you do, the more confidence you get, the more in your skin you feel like, okay, yeah, this is feeling good, this is feeling good. And then you take a bigger chunk, and I think that's another mindset shift that depending on your amount of ambition or drive, you might be like, no, I don't want to take small steps, I just want to go do the big thing. But I'll say, please take small steps. It's easier than going for the big thing, not really prepared or not knowing at that skill what you actually need to succeed. So that's two things I would say in terms of mindset shift to get away from being stuck all the time and take action.
Wow, I love the mindset shift you shared. So the first one you said was be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and also learning to start small and not trying to get there overnight. And I always say that if God, the creator of the whole world, who could send Jesus as a full-grown adult, decided to send him as a baby, meaning he started small and let him go through the life stages and become an adult, then we too need to start small. So every big thing in life that you see always starts small. And that's why I like the scripture that says, don't despise small beginnings. Because God loves to see the work start. So if you're listening, let that be a mindset that you embrace and cultivate and say, hey, I'm going to get comfortable with doing uncomfortable things, and I'm going to embrace starting small, embrace surprises, and just pivot as I learn through the journey, because it's not going to be perfect. It's a process. So Remi, as we wrap up our conversation, for the woman that is listening, for the Christian mom that is listening who feels called but is paralyzed by fear, what is one faith step she can take today to begin her journey with confidence?
One faith step. Take the next 3 days. Find time. I know life is busy. I know the kids need attention. I know the hobby needs attention. For the next 3 days, even if it's an hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, take the time to really get on your knees and pray and ask God to give you insight. He says, I will lead you in the way you should go. I will instruct you. That instruction is crucial before you even do it. It's what you need. It's the bedrock of this whole thing, working with God in your life, in business, in every way. 3 days, ask God to give you the next steps you need. Ask him to give you grace to see what you need to see. A lot of times we need to see, like God needs to open our eyes. It's possible for an idea to be floating around you, but you're right that you don't even see it. And one day you're just like, how come I never thought about that? It's God. That's God. And like he will throw something in front of you. You'll be like, I never thought about that. And then you can take action. So take time for the next 3 days. Pray. Ask God to give you light. Ask him to give you instruction. Ask him to give you direction. This is what he loves to do. He's our Father. He says, come. Whoever comes, he will in no wise cast out. He will not cast you out. But most of the time we don't come because we're busy with everything else. We're busy with social media. We're busy with Netflix. We're busy with trying to have fun or just maintaining the pace of life. We're busy, all of that. We're busy everything else, but really spending time in God's presence. That is one big faith move, I would say. It will be great for you to do. Pray and ask God for light, for direction, for instruction. He will give it to you.
Wow, that is so amazing. I love that. So, like Remi said, ask for light. Ask God to open your eyes. Spend time and ask him questions. Just the way your kids come to you and they ask you questions and you're excited to answer them. That is the same way God is excited when we come to him with questions, asking for instruction and guidance. And as you ask, I know that you will receive, because that's what he promises us in his word. Wow, this has been so good. I can go on and on. So, Remi, can you talk to us a little bit about Podground, what you're doing, how my audience can connect with you? Let's learn more about what you're doing with Podground.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I am the founder of Podground, and this is exclusively for podcasters. So if you happen to be a podcaster and you're listening, Podground is for you. We're building a community where we can lean into just learning together And we're going to have like a community where you can connect with other people from around the world, other podcasters from around the world. If you're looking for collaborations, just connection, it will be there. We're going to do a lot of events and learning opportunities for you to grow as a podcaster, because you don't know what you don't know, to learn it. So we're going to bring in experts and people who can talk to us about podcasting to help us grow. And we have other things in the pipeline, a marketplace, so many other things that we have coming. But you can check it out today at podground.io. We have a grant opportunity opening up soon. So you can check that out too at podground.io/grant, and you can sign up for the wait list. In terms of really leaning into God and taking the next steps towards your business and getting unstuck, I would love to provide a resource. It's a journal that I created. It's a guided journal, 6 questions that would take you through getting unstuck, so to speak, right? So you can really dig deep and ask yourself, coach yourself towards that process of getting unstuck. And that'll be at shepack.com/getunstuck. And if you want to connect with me, I am on Instagram mostly at Remi Roy.
Awesome. And you don't need to cram all those links. I will have them in the podcast description. Please go there and click on it. Connect with Remi. She is such a powerhouse. Thank you so much, Remi, for coming on to start that business and being a huge blessing to my listeners. I look forward to connecting with you more. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I pray it made you feel seen, taught you something new, and encouraged you to take action. If so, would you please share this episode with someone in your world who needs help to transition from a corporate job to a thriving business? If today's episode resonated with you and you're ready to move from wondering to doing, I invite you to go to fromjobtobusiness.com to book your transition clarity call today. In just 60 minutes, you will get clarity from where you are now to where God is calling you to be in your business. You will leave with confidence and concrete next steps. Lastly, it will be a huge blessing to me if you could leave a review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts or the podcast app you are using to listen. This is the number one way I know you are getting value from the podcast. Until next time, always remember your expertise is needed, your calling is real, and I'm here to help you make it happen. So keep listening for more episodes. I'll meet you here next week.